Now, let's look at morphological cases in Tagalog. So, and this is from Kroger's Phrase Structure and Grammatical Relations in Tagalog, 1993. So, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the nominative case, the genitive case, and the dative case. So, you use the nominative case used for any argument role depending on the affixation of the verb. You use the genitive case for possessors, actors, instruments, and indefinite objects, and the dative case for goals, recipients, locations, and direct objects. So, for example, what's important to remember are noun markers. Okay? So, for nominative, you use ang and si. For genitive, nang and ni. For dative, sa and kay. So, simply put, so this can be a little bit confusing. But what are we trying to say here? When the focus is on the actor, you use ang and si. So, for example, if I say, for example, bumili si Juan ng cake para kay Maria. Right? So, the focus is Juan. So, bumili si Juan ng cake. Okay? So, that's why you have si there. Because Juan is a name. Ng cake. So, look at ng. Ng there. So, you put ng before the cake. Right? And then, para kay Maria. So, the direction of the action. So, the cake is for Maria. And therefore, you use kay before Maria. Okay. So, notes from Kroger. So, each verbal clause must contain only one nominative argument. Second, the thematic role of the nominative element is reflected in a verbal affix, which he calls the voice marker. So, let's look at some examples, right? So, kumain ang bata ng almusal sa kusina. So, the child ate breakfast in the kitchen. So, what this is, so literally, you have ate, right? And look at ang there. Kumain ang bata. So, ang there is your nominative marker. Then look, what did he eat? So, you have nang. That's what we call the genitive marker. So, nang breakfast, right? And where did the child eat breakfast? So now you have sa in the kitchen. Let's have another example. Binigay ni Juan ang sulat kay Maria. So here, you have the genitive marker ni. So like, who gave the letter to Maria? Binigay ni Juan. Right? And then, you have ang sulat. Right? So what did Juan give? The letter. So we know here that the focus of this sentence is the letter. To whom did he give the letter? Kay Maria. So now you have the dative marker, kay. Let's have another example. Sumakay si Pedro ng bus sa istasyon. So Pedro rode on a bus at the station. At the bus station. So literally, so you have rode, and then you have or took. So the nominative marker here is si. Why? Because the focus of the sentence is Pedro. And who is Pedro? Pedro is the actor or the doer of the action. And then you put ng bus, because the question is, what did he ride? So the bus. And the where? At the station. So you use sa before station. So what are the difficulties and differences? One is the existence of the nominal marker si for personal nouns. Okay? So, for example, matulungin si Ginang Rubin. So, Mrs. Rubin is helpful. But what is the problem? There is no verb to be. We're just saying helpful si Ginang Rubin. That's it. Right? No verb to be. So, that's why it can be a little bit confusing. And then look at the pronouns. So both the first person, and here what I'm trying to say, here are the difficulties and differences with English and Filipino, and the differences with using or learning Filipino and Tagalog. So this is what this part is about. Okay. So both the first person plural kami, namin, amin, and the dual plural tayo, natin, atin corresponds to the English first person plural. So, or correspond to the English first person plural. The former may also be called the exclusive first person plural, and the latter the inclusive first person plural, because it includes the person addressed. So this kami, tayo can get really confusing. So you need to note that, okay? Kami, so you can think of it also as the first person plural. Aalis kami ng bahay. So we, meaning just us, not including you, the person I'm talking to. Okay. And tayo as dual plural, including us, me, and the other people with me, and you, the people I'm talking to. So as dual plural. Aalis tayo ng bahay ng alas 5. We will leave the house at 5 o'clock. So another difference is, as I have mentioned earlier, the dual pronoun kita. So remember, bibigyan kita ng pagkain. So I will give you food. What is that? Bibigyan ko, will give I you food. Bibigyan kita ng pagkain. Next, adjectives are more inflected in Filipino than in English because of number, comparison, intensity, and gender. However, in contemporary usage, it is acceptable not to change an adjective according to numbers. So people would say, magaganda, mababait, blah, blah, blah. You can just say maganda, mabait, nice, right? So it's okay.